Welcome. We're back. We're live back. Another edition of African Americans and Africans. The Think talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of the ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. And we're going to talk about cannabis tonight, y'all. That dank. You don't know what that dank is. We're going to talk about cannabis tonight because we have a sister who is a grower. She's going to share everything with you tonight. If you have any questions, ask them. We'll make sure she gets them because this is a market, and we'll talk about this tonight. This is a industry that we're really not into. We're in it, like the brother said earlier. We're in it, but we're not in it. So we're going to
Right.
talk about why we're not in it like that tonight. And I just want to welcome our guest, Nicole.
Thank
How
you.
you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
The I think it's half the states that marijuana is legal in. What is stopping the other states from not saying, let's go ahead and legalize it? Because if you look at the states that people are buying marijuana from the taxes, they're making a pretty nice people thinking that can buy it legal and people can buy it legal. That's a nice tax base. Why aren't some of the poorer states, the states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, why aren't states like that really into it?
My personal opinion is because of the private prison industry and the fact that they're able to capsize off of arresting people for drug charges and keeping them in prison versus having it being open and accepting. So with that being said, they would have to go back and they'd have to reallocate all those drug charges like they're doing in California and say, hey, we can't charge you for anymore. And I think that would cost them too much money, along with, I honestly believe, Christian beliefs and religious beliefs. People look at cannabis as being the devil's lettuce. So in those southern states, a lot of people have that stipulation.
I, in the southern states,
Hmm.
so when I think about cannabis in the southern states, this is how it hits me. Louisiana got a strain.
Hmm.
Mississippi got a strain.
A
It,
strain. Hmm.
it could be a Mississippi River strain. Something
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Alabama could have
Hmm.
and that could be an industry that would be a boon for us, but
Hmm.
we're not, for some reason, we're not into it like that.
And that's when, instead of having to deal with the illegalities of cannabis as far as marijuana, that people should be looking at the farmland in regards to growing hemp, because hemp is huge. I was just at an expo yesterday where there were over 800 people who are using hemp to make oils and lotions and soaps and drinks and I mean literally everything. So it's like if you don't want to deal with the legality of the cannabis having the THC and so forth, dealing with that part, you could deal with having a hemp farm because that's going to sell too. I mean, it's like Alabama has excellent soil. Mississippi has excellent soil. These are places where they could capsize off the hemp industry and actually make a great amount of money.
Yeah, that Mississippi River going down through
Hmm.
Mississippi. Ooh, that soil
Hmm.
is oh, it's some of the
Yep.
best soil in the world. Yes, I totally agree with you. Have you ever heard of a product called hempcrete?
That's what they use to make the cement bricks and so forth out
Yes.
of the hemp. Yeah. Hmm.
Is that amazing or what?
Yep.
And just the versatility of the plant itself, like you
Different. Yep.
said, you don't have to use it for medicinal purposes. You can use it for a hundred of other personal.
Hmm.
I mean, cloth.
Clothing, paper,
So
building. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's our attitudes need to change on the use of that
Hmm.
plant.
Well, with the fact that the plant is pretty much universally inclined to most indigenous areas over all over the world. I mean, from Asia to America, it was used medicinally for childbirth, tooth extraction, um, ritual, to help with meditation, industrial clothing, rope. It's just, it has multiple uses, and it's not just for smoking. It's for building. It can be used across the board for pretty much anything.
I just can't believe we're an industry like that is just slipping through our fingers, and we're
I
not
for
on it. We're not clamoring for it.
for it
We're really not saying anything.
because of the stipulation that comes along with it. I mean, you got to look at it from the standpoint of, you have a man. I don't remember his name. I should look it up, but he's in Louisiana, I believe. He's been in prison for about 25 years now for a joint. A joint.
You see,
And
see, those are crimes against humanity. And this is
yeah.
what I'm saying. This is the kind of system we in. And I think all of those old, so it's like a brother who's been in the military and he got a
Mhm.
dishonorable discharge.
Mhm.
But he got the dishonorable discharge because he was really doing something honorable.
Mhm.
He wouldn't do some crazy shit that the military told him. So 20 years later, he can get that dishonorable discharge eradicated and get an honorable discharge because when you look at stuff as time move forward,
Mhm.
we can have 2020 vision. We can look back at it and see the
Mhm.
mistakes that were made. All the
Mhm.
mistakes that were made against us, I think we should start calling them on it.
Mhm.
With
I
this
agree.
cannabis thing is a joke.
It is. I mean, they just recently did 66,000, um, I guess, cases where they reviewed them, and they're dropping all the charges, going all the way back to 1961 in California.
Can, you just ruined this man's life.
Yeah, you can't take that back. But see, here's the catch though, because from what I started off in the cannabis industry working in a dispensary, and it's a long history behind it. But I started learning there. But with all the healing properties of cannabis, I mean, there's so many products that are made and that are being used for healing properties, that I think in a way, and I'm gonna say, it was kind of a purposely done thing, because they know they have broken this plant has been broken down scientifically to the root. I mean, to the point that, if when you go through the slides, you'll actually see they have it broken down to strain, to terpenes, to how it acts with the endocannabinoid system, what you can use. I mean, like, if you have neuropathy, they make creams out of cannabis with THC that you put on that take away the neuropathy. They for
Are you
arthritis.
serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
See
It's
that?
yeah. And
Wow.
like, it's like, there's creams, there's drinks, there's sodas, there's cookies, there's, you can smoke it, you can make tea. I mean, they add it to honey. It just goes on. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. They have a cellular water that you can swish around your mouth, and it helps with lupus and all these things. So they, while they were saying, "Oh, you're gonna get charged for this. There's a war on drugs." Oh, we're gonna take this and send it over to Israel and have them break down how this THC works and what it does, and then we're gonna bring it back, and then we're gonna make it legal. And now, guess what? We have all these curing things now, and you guys are scared of it because you're afraid of getting any type of legal issue, and you're not going to touch it. So now we're going to make a whole bunch of money off of it and just watch you do what you do. And I don't think that's right. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this, because it's important for people of color, as they want to call us, to get involved in the cannabis industry. Even people who are felons who have a cannabis charge, it can't stop you from investing. It can't stop you from buying shares. Take it back that way, because the shares, some are 7 cents a share. And if you go and you look online and you just listen, the cannabis industry is going to be worth almost $88 billion by 2025. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just going to get more popular as time
mhm,
moves forward.
mhm. I mean, in Denver alone, they had a surplus of money.
I've been to Denver, and the place I went to, this was, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe what I was seeing. I went to a spot in Denver. A brother had a spot, a brother and his family.
Mm-hmm.
His kids had to look like, I want to get out of here. The place was full.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you put money in the little drawer, the little arms that hold the money down,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they were filled to the top.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you're kidding. He
Nope.
was like, dude, all day, every day.
Every day. I mean, because that I've gotten the opportunity to work in the dispensary, and it's like a lot of the customers that I had were elderly people who were looking to come in because they didn't want to deal with being on pharmaceutical medication anymore. So they were looking for pain relief for that, and it was just like it was, it was interesting because I met some people who were looking who had like restless leg syndrome, people who cannot sleep at night, people who are looking to enhance their sex lives, people who have ADHD or kids have ADHD. I mean, it's just has a whole bunch of uses. Like my son has epilepsy, and he started using it because of the Dilantin not working. And as you go through the slides, I put it at the end, and it's like he started using it, and ever since he's been using cannabis, he hasn't had a seizure, and he takes no more Dilantin.
Check out what So Truth said. So Truth said it would crush the pharmaceutical industry since they sell bogus medicine anyway.
Yep, exactly. And and that's part of the reason why certain states won't pass it either, because some of the lobbyists are in the pharmaceutical pockets, or vice versa. So
Yeah, very good industry. So listen, let's get in. I want to get into your presentation
okay,
and share with the audience, all the things you talked about, so we can get a little more, information on that, and we can talk about that. So I'm gonna just let you go with it. Uh,
okay,
I'm gonna be the slide man.
all right. Well, on the first slide, I started talking about how cannabis has been around with many cultures, for since the beginning of time. I mean, the plant's been used for everything for pain of childbirth, tooth extraction, ritual uses. They make teas. It's been used to make clothing and so forth. And it is said that the Declaration of Independence is actually written on hemp paper. So, what does that tell you? Um, in the like I believe the movie is called Reefer Madness. It was made like the 1930s, 40s, but basically this has a lot to do with the criminalization of cannabis by Harry Anslinger, who actually has a strain of cannabis named after him. His granddaughter grows and actually named a strain after her grandfather. I thought it was kind of funny. But he basically he kind of targeted cannabis after prohibition, and basically had set out the thing saying that if white women smoke cannabis, they'd want to sleep with colored men and all kinds of stuff. So basically, he is the reason why it got criminalized. He had like the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 was implemented, so he started taking his racial beliefs out on cannabis, and like with Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, he was harassing them a lot about their drug use and so forth as well. And regarding to jazz, he called it the devil's music, which he said was influenced by cannabis as well. Um, he actually was in office until the Kennedy administration, and he got out, but then it got picked up again by Richard Nixon, who did this basically the same thing. And we've had this war on drugs for a long time, but cannabis has been a major focus. If you go down and you had like the Boggs Act, which is basically criminalizing drug use, cannabis use, and giving you longer time. Richard Nixon, kind of like I said before, he kind of focused on it and kind of took it to a place where he had his war on drugs. Then you came along with the Reagan era and Nancy Reagan with her Just Say No campaign. But during that time, like the drug offenses, especially for cannabis, they kind of quadrupled. And it just kind of went on into the Bush administration and the Clinton administration as well. But during the time of Obama, he kind of started releasing some people from their drug charges and kind of started working more towards making hemp legal and so forth. Didn't actually happen while he was in office. It happened, of course, when Trump was in office. But Trump has Jeff Sessions in there, and marijuana industry has been having a lot of issues dealing with him, even though a lot of things are still passing. That's basically where the history comes in at. So, I got a picture of like all the states that are legal right now. Some of the states are not fully legal. Some have just decriminalized it. Oregon is happy. I happen to mention this one because Oregon kind of touched me in two ways. In 1973, it was decriminalized, so they wouldn't really give you a huge ticket for it. You'd like get $100 ticket and you could go about your day. But during the Jim Crow era, people of color had to write the state legislator and ask for permission to live in Oregon because of the Jim Crow, and they also had to pay a fee. So it's kind of like, who'd want to go there anyway if that was the history of it? Because you know that that's not really going to be the case if you were to get caught with cannabis there.
Man, that's what I mean. These
Yeah.
they're so egregious with their
Hmm.
laws, and I
Yeah.
think I think we can tax their ass for that.
Yeah.
Because really,
Yep.
this is. I mean, seriously, that's if
Yeah.
we're serious, and that's what we hope here at African Americans ain't Africans. You look at it like that. These
Hmm.
are laws put against your people so you won't thrive.
Exactly. I mean, it's they've taken a plant that was used for medicinal purposes. It wasn't always something that people sat around and smoked and enjoyed the way it's done now. It had a purpose, like most of the healing plants that we have in our culture. And it's like now it's being capsized. I mean, literally, I I have seen pounds. I mean, a whole entire like block full of nothing but flour. I actually am on LinkedIn with some people that are growing in Africa, and they have an outdoor grow that is huge. I mean, literally, this is they're growing Africa. They're growing in Colombia. I have a friend who's down there. They're growing in Brazil. They're growing all over the place, and they're making the money from it because they've got these big lots of land and they're growing. And we're sitting back going, oh, okay, well, I don't want to touch it because I have a brother or a sister or my dad or my aunt or whatever had legal consequences because of having cannabis. And so it's like, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of a kick in the face.
Yeah, it's ooh. Can you imagine some nice bud growing on the equator down there in South America?
You should see the flower that I've seen from
Oh
it.
my God.
Yeah. But they're using that for medicinal purposes, they claim. But I don't know the legalities of how it's being carried across state, because I know that these grows are Canadian grows, so they have way different laws than we do. So they're, Uruguay and all those places, a lot of Canadian businesses are growing in those areas because in the United States you really can't even supposed to cross state lines with it. But but CBD you can't.
Okay, what? Okay, now what exactly is CBD?
CBD is like a hemp plant. Basically, it's the male plant of the cannabis family. And basically, it doesn't have a high level of THC in it. It's the craze is right now. It's known as cannabinol. And basically, they're extracting the oil and they're making a lot of products of it. It helps like with insomnia, seizures for people who are epileptic, cancer treatments. They've been using CBD in I'm trying to think. Muscular. That's something that they make creams out of too. Like they make creams, facial products, lotions, fitness enhancers, and things like that. And people can use CBD because it has very minimal THC in it, enough to the point like if you were to take a drug test, you would pass because it doesn't have the high levels of THC like the regular cannabis plants do.
I just can't believe we're in this archaic state, this
Hmm.
archaic way of thinking.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's like. Yesterday when my son and I went to the US CBD Expo, if one ever comes to your area, definitely go because you'll get a full education on everything. But literally, there were just people that were making oils and bath bombs and gummies and vapes and I mean CBD cigarettes. And they had jars that they were selling a CBD flower because people will smoke it to help them sleep, or some people will buy it and press it and make edibles or whatever they want to do with it. But they'll put it in smoothies, all kinds of stuff. And like the CBD craze is huge, and it's there's so much opportunity in businesses in it that I don't understand why it's like it's we're just sitting back going, okay. I mean, and there were I could say about 15 15 people that were looked like me there that had businesses, and there were some owners, but there was a guy, he was from Haiti that I met. Another guy from Colorado was there, but everybody else, our representation is very low, and it shouldn't be. We should be at the forefront of this industry.
So what are some of the ways you think we could be at the forefront of the industry?
Well, for one, is pushing for legislation for it to be legal in states that it's not. Also, legislation to let people out of prison who have been sitting there for cannabis crimes. Another is going through and educating yourself about the plant and its benefits health wise, but investing. I mean, like if you have farmland, grow. You can grow CBD. They can't. It's federally you're able to do it without any consequence. Only problem is sometimes you run into ignorant police officers or DEA people, and they raid you, and then they realize, oh, that's not weed, that's CBD. And so they have to give it back.
Yeah, or at least pay for it.
Or
Yeah.
compensate you for it. So, getting involved in it is key because you have a lot of people, a lot of black people, a lot of indigenous people have diabetes and have arthritis and other ailments, and these are natural remedies that will help you with that type of thing. Like if you are diabetic and you have neuropathy, there's creams that'll help you. If you have acne, there's creams that are made from CBD that will help you. So there's a lot of remedies that can be utilized where you're not having to run to Pfizer and have worry about liver and kidney damage or your spleen falling out because you're using something that's natural.
Yeah, that's one of the things I hear a lot of elderly
Hmm.
patients talk about. They say they just can't take that medication no more.
Hmm.
They've been taking it
Hmm.
their whole life, and they say with the pod, it's a
Yep.
boom for them.
Yep.
They
My
swear.
dad is my dad is 85 years old, and I bought him cream. I have a friend who makes everything from scratch, and she owns a shop here. I bought him the cream and I bought him the oil, and he uses both of them. He just had knee surgery. I'm like, Dad, put it on your knee. And he's like, well, I can't because of the VA. That's another thing. I'm like, well, Dad, be in pain or use the cream. You got a
Right.
choice. Yeah, so he uses it.
Yeah, yeah. That and you would think that VA would be with that.
No, they're not. And they really need to, because CBD was a good thing to help with PTSD too.
I think it's the people, the way the people are trained not to say up,
Hmm.
not to open their mouths, not to say
Right.
anything, or when they
Right.
see something is wrong, they just put their
Hmm.
head in the ground
And
because
it comes from fear, I think.
it comes before what?
It comes from fear. I mean,
Yes,
because people are well, they're saying it's legal, but we're black. No, this can't be legal for us. No, yeah, it's legal for you too.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And and by becoming, I think by becoming more active in the industry and representing, I think that it'll take away some of the stereotypes that come with us with dealing with cannabis, because there's a lot of stereotypes that suddenly don't matter anymore because you have these dispensaries and all these canna business and canna butters and canna candy bars and all stuff like that. So now it's got a whole different outlook because it's more upscale.
So what would you say the industry is? today? Just a guesstimate of everything that you said: candy, chewing gum, sodas. I know this sister that buys herb. She just buys it in one of those little things she put under her pillow when she sleep at night to
Mhm.
help her sleep. I'm like,
Mhm.
damn,
Yep.
but it makes sense, you know.
Yep.
And I'm like, and so the versatility of this plant is off the hook.
Mhm.
And what would you say that market is in dollar value today?
I say we're on the cusp about a good 30 billion dollars.
You said 30 billion?
I would say 30 billion. And
Wow.
that's not counting products. That's counting grows. That's counting, the grows that are all over the globe. I mean, literally, they are growing everywhere.
Right.
If we
And
look at I'm sorry, if we look at product, um, companies, if I put a website on there. If you go on to the website, it's called marijuanastocks.com, and there's a list of companies that you can invest in, and each company has the ticker number, and it also has the amount the company is worth. There are companies that are worth $6.2 million. There are companies that are worth $223 million, and that's depending upon where they're growing and what they back, like what they are using their flower for.
right. No, that makes sense. So that's
Yep.
so what we might need is a class on, how to recognize that, in
Mm-hmm.
investing in these companies.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing, like in my opinion, to do is which is what I'm doing is there's a company called Ameritrade. I like them because you don't have to have a balance on, you don't have to have like $500 and then be able to invest. You can put $20 into your Ameritrade account and invest. They don't care, and it's like right now cannabis is considered penny stocks. But like I said, you have shares that are 4 cents a share. You got some shares that are $17 and I think 32 cents a share. So it really depends on what you're looking to invest. But I definitely think that it's something to invest in because of the fact is that it's the market is going to change. The market has become more valuable, and those shares are going to go up. Just like like the Sprint stock, for example. Sprint stock was like $5 a share last year, and Sprint and T-Mobile just merged, and now they went up to like $17 a share, and it's going to keep going.
Wow. So investing in it. So how do we get to invest in it, and what should we be looking for those who want to invest in it?
Well, first of all, go on to Ameritrade and set up an account. They have a lot of videos that kind of walk you through on how to start your investment account. But what you want to look at when it comes to the THC market, I'm sorry, the cannabis market, are companies that have been around for a long time, and look at their net worth. Once you look at their net worth and you see they're worth a lot, and like their shares might be like $10, those are companies you want to invest in because they're going to be here. They're going to be continuing to grow. Like for one is Aurora Cannabis. They've been around forever, it seems like. There's also, oh God, I'm trying to think. There's like Green Growth. There's M. Hardeen, who I work for. Harvest, House of Health and Recreation, or something similar to that. They've been around for a long time. So you really want to go through that list and kind of pick out the ones that that have been around for a while, that have the high net worth, and invest in those because you're going to see a residual for that.
So the other night we were talking, and you were talking
Hmm.
about, their penny stocks. Could
Hmm.
could could you explain that? Because people may not have to
Okay.
$10 per stock. You were talking about the penny stocks.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
does that work?
Well, you have penny stocks, and like for example, one of the stocks will be like 7 cents a share. So basically, it'll tell you how much each share is when you go onto the screen. It'll if you when you go into like Ameritrade, for example, and you set up your account, it'll have a search engine. You can go onto that marijuanastocks.com and just pick one out of the list, and then you can click the ticker number on there, and it'll pull up how much it is a share. or you can copy the ticker number down or the name of the company and put it in your search engine on the Ameritrade app, for example, and it'll pull it up and it'll tell you how much it is share. It'll ask you if you have any money in your account, if how much of it you want to buy. So like you got $20, you're buying 7 cents a share. That's that about 20 shares, if not more.
Yeah,
So
that's
you're
a
basically, yeah, that's a pretty penny. That's like my math right now is not with me, but you're gonna get a good amount of shares. And just say you can set the Ameritrade thing up too. Like if you're working, you can have it directly deposited from your paycheck. You can have $25 put into the account, so that way you have that, and you can just continue to keep buying shares out of whatever cannabis stock you want. I mean, it's a lucrative market that's growing. It's like, and stock investing in stocks is definitely a good thing, especially for people who are younger and like people who are younger starting a family. That's a good thing. 5 years from now, you got a 3-year-old child. You got 5 years, they're 8. By the time they're in college, if you want them to go to college or they want to go to college, you have that money there.
that's a good idea.
Hmm.
That's a good idea
Yep.
for that penny stock.
Yep.
Uh, I know we can talk about the the stock market and
Hmm.
everything, but I'd really like to talk about these strains.
Okay.
The strains is something that I'm interested in,
Okay.
and you know the smells that come from them when you break them apart, the way it sticks on your fingers.
Hmm.
Those ways of recognizing the plant. How important are they? Because I see that you have it divided into three
Hmm.
categories. And what could you explain those categories and what they do?
Okay. Well, the indica is, I'll break it down this way. You have indicas, you have hybrids, and you have sativas, like I have on this screen. Indicas tend to be the strains that you smoke to help you relax. They tend to give you that, okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna lay here and watch this movie, or I'm either gonna fall asleep type of feeling. They have a terpene in them called myrcene, and terpenes I can go on a little bit. Terpenes are also in food, like our fruits and our vegetables. So the terpene, for example, that's dominant in indicas happens to be myrcene. And like for example, I learned this from my son. If you eat a mango, because mangoes have myrcene in them, and then you smoke an indica, you're gonna get a very strong high from that, a very relaxing strong high. I personally don't care for indicas because they make me pass out, so I try to stay away from them. But they basically are gonna kind of give you that body high, and they tend to smell. I'm trying to think. They tend to have the stronger smell. But like sometimes you'll have like a lavender smell. It depends on what terpenes are in the strain too.
So the different strains,
Hmm.
you get the different strains mixed with certain foods and fruits and vegetables and stuff, where you get a
Hmm.
different feel from it all.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Because like for example, there's a terpene called pinene, and pinene happens to be like in cloves or pepper. And so like if you get sativa, for example, that has pinene in it, it'll have that peppery pine smell to it, that it's kind of like a pine cone but have that pungent smell.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you'll have like some sativas that have something called limonene in them, and they'll have like a citrusy smell to them where when you burn it, it kind of smells kind of like an orange.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so you would use those sativa, like, see, you have it provides
Hmm.
energy. So
Yep.
I have friends that they'll smoke something and they'll go out running. So is
Yep.
that what they're normally on using the sativa?
Yeah, they're normally using a sativa. Now you do have people who who indicas work like sativas and sativas work like indicas. You have people who are reversed because your endocannabinoid system might not pick up the receptors the same way as other people do. So it really depends on you. You kind of got to pick and choose what works for you.
Okay, so this is the last one. So
Hmm.
you're gonna have to explain this one to me because this one sounds kind of funny.
Okay.
Hybrids. What's up with hybrids?
Hybrids are combinations of both. So you can have a hybrid that is more sativa dominant, which means it has more sativa characteristics in the plant, or you can have a hybrid which is more indica dominant, which one of the parent plants is has to be the stronger or the more dominant one, and so you'll have more of that couch lock sleepy feeling. So basically what they did is they took a sativa and they took an indica and they combined them together, and whichever parent dominated is the one that they go with after they do the testing on it.
Okay, so all these different flavors you got.
Hmm.
I mean, it's hundreds of them. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
those hybrids?
Um, Things like Gorilla Glue is a hybrid. Yeah, Gorilla Glue is a hybrid. I actually met the man who created that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's really he came to a facility I was working at, and that was pretty interesting. They wanted to buy because you have a land race, and the land race is the original plant that came from the ground.
The
And what
land.
they
Say that again.
a land race, like for example, have you ever seen over in Africa, there in I don't forgot what in Zimbabwe, the prime minister had took a picture in his backyard, and there was a huge cannabis plant, and he was like, "I never knew what it was, but it's a land race because it's growing, it's just growing wild." So what they do with land races is they'll have the original plant, the mother of all of them, and they'll take um, they'll cut it and they'll create plants off of that one, and that's how you start getting hybrids because you start mixing those plants with other plants and other plants and other plants, and you'll have like different levels of strains, like you'll have like Gorilla Glue 4, Gorilla Glue 5. It's
Right.
because of the fact is that they're splicing, basically they're gene splicing.
So is that cool? Is that good for the plant or the person using the plant, or is the plant used in the same manner, or how does all that change the plant?
From
Because
what
that
I've
is a
seen,
that is a concern.
yeah, from what from where I'm growing, where I'm working at, where I'm letting it grow, they tend to use the more organic methods. I mean, for example, for pesticides, we use the bugs that eat, yeah, that eat, like if we get a mold issue, they eat it. So there's little bugs flying around that are for the plant. So but taking and continuing to splice, if you're not giving the plant the proper nutrients and kind of making sure that you're giving the proper water ratio, it can weaken the strain. And so it's the job of to keep the mother strong, as well as the clones that you're taking off strong, so that way that doesn't happen. But you do have people who will add extra stuff, extra chemicals, and you'll get a harsher burn,
Right.
or it can be
Right.
bad for you. Yeah, so but you really want to kind of look, it is required through dispensaries as well as grow facilities to release any type of information on the pesticides that they use.
Okay. So Vegas. So how is it going in Vegas now with it? Because I think they just legalized it a couple of years ago or something.
About 2 years ago. It's going really well. I mean, um, it's a lot of growth. It really is. It's a they have a lot of conventions here. They just had the MJ Biz Con, which everybody in the nation came here, and that deals with cannabis. You had people who do testing, you had people who are growing, you have people who are doing marketing, making clothing. So it's becoming a very huge industry. Between that and CBD, it's not going anywhere.
So how many conventions do Las Vegas have on the cannabis industry a year? Because I know they have a lot.
I've been, well, my son's been to two. I've been to two. I got an opportunity to go to the MJ Biz one because I volunteered to help one of the women that was having a party here. So I got to kind of see firsthand what was going on, and I was blown away because it was just like it was so many people that are in the industry, not for the benefit of helping, but for the benefit of making money. So I got to see that side, and I got to see the side of people who are in it to, improve people's health. So They literally have one at least every 6 months. Like in August, I believe there's going to be another big cannabis one.
So it's tearing. So how are they growing it in Las Vegas? I know it's always sunny out there. It's a desert. Is it outdoor grows, indoor grows? What's the ratio
Ours
there?
is it happens to be an indoor grow in an indoor greenhouse because of the fact that we have to do like reverse osmosis with the water because the water is really hard here. So to make sure that the water is got the right pH balance and everything is good, so that way it doesn't kill the plants. The outdoor grows here, I don't know of any that I know of that are legal. All the ones that I know of are grown indoor.
And so Vegas just use its own product, or does it ship in from California,
No,
Washington?
we use our own product.
Oh, okay. And here's another interesting point about the plant that
Uh-huh.
I don't know too much about, and that's terpenes.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that, or what they?
Terpenes terpenes are the compounds that give the cannabis the flavor and that smell. Like if you go to the next one, the next screen that I did, um, we have like limonene, pinene, caryophyllene. I went through myrcene linalool. Basically, terpenes. I wrote up something. Hold on, let me get it. We'll go with limonene for the first one. That's the one I have. Limonene is got that pungent citrus flavor that I was talking about earlier, and it happens to be like in lemon, oranges. It comes from the a gland that's in the plant. But what limonene does specifically, and if you find strains that are high in limonene, it relieves stress. It elevates the mood. It's an antibacterial. So if you find a strain that they use that has limonene in one of the creams, it'll help with killing bacteria. It's antifungal. Um, it can be used for treatment of gallstones. It helps absorb. It's better absorption in regards to like the THC. It blends very well with that. Heartburn, just asthmatic patients can use things with limonene in it. So basically, the terpenes are what combine with the THC to kind of give the medicinal benefits of the cannabis.
Sorry about the interruption, but
It's
we
okay.
got yeah. Okay, so those these terpenes, or like you say, will give it what gives it a smell. One of the things that I like about the plant is how the plant feels.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like a cloth
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Oh,
That's basically the protective layer on the plant to protect itself from any harm, like certain bugs too. Certain bugs won't go near cannabis plants. Bees love cannabis. They, in fact, there's a a company here who has, or I think it's either here or California, that has beehives, and they just they then and cannabis, and they kind of go back and forth, and the honey is richer.
the
So it's
what?
just
So it's marijuana infused honey.
honey.
Damn.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
That, oh man. You know what else? You know what else would you make with the
Yeah.
cannabis? Chewing gum.
Chewing gum. Yep.
Yeah.
Chewing gum. They have oral tinctures that you can spray into your mouth,
Oh man.
and like they have one that's a cinnamon flavor. Ooh boy. Mm-mm.
Oh,
It is.
and so I mean, this is what I'm concerned about. This plant, you can do a lot with this plant, and
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that with everything going along in the cities, in the country, with all this gentrification, these are
Mm-hmm.
industries that we could use and that we could revolutionize to be better for us.
Mm-hmm.
Not and the hemp industry or the marijuana industry is just one,
Mm-hmm.
of a multitude of them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the cannabis is I mean it's hitting big now. I mean, because down here in Alabama, though it's not legal, you have a whole bunch of the CBD stuff going on,
Yeah.
and down
Yeah.
here is still kind of that old. that 1900 thinking. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're not progressive in what they're seeing, but they're seeing the system is crushing them to death, but
Yeah.
they just don't know what to do about it. And that's what pisses me off about being in the South. It's like
Uh-huh.
all this land is yours, and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, they could be hemp farms everywhere. I mean, literally, because somebody is going to buy it. You can contract out
Yeah.
from companies that are growing hemp and make money that way. I mean, it's just there's so much opportunity in the industry that it really needs something. It needs some attention. It's
So
like
you were saying, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go, no,
No, no.
no.
I would say because both my son and my son that has these, we both work in the industry, and it's just like we're always networking, we're always talking to people. I came across a product yesterday called Sealy, which is a hemp infused water, and I'm like I'm interested in it, so I bought into the company so I could become a representative for them because I want to try it for myself and see how it works because the man's son had multiple MS, and he started using the water, and his skin, his eczema and stuff started to clip, and he has pictures and footage of all of this. So why wouldn't I want something like that that can improve my health without me having to lose my spleen? It's just that it doesn't make any sense not to come on board for these things that we know as a people. We're healing people. That's what we did. And it's just like this. It's like when I'm in the facility I'm in with the plants, it's like it's just the feeling that I get from being around all these plants, and I'm watching them. I watch them grow, and it's a different environment for me, and I'm really in tune with it.
Well, listen. Well, tell the listeners how they can contact if they want to go ahead and invest in this cannabis stock and know more about this cannabis stock, because you don't have to. This is just another way that you can get into it. And I think she
Hmm.
made some good points about, if you're just starting out, a young family starting out, this could be something that you can invest in for your kids, and about time for them to go to school, they'll
Hmm.
have this. So that's something to think about. It's something that people can use to retire on. So think
Hmm.
about it, because it's an industry that's really growing.
Yes, and I mean, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My email is going to be missnicolebowden@live.com. That's MS period in Nicole Bowden at live.com. So I'll answer any questions. And like I said, you can look on Fidelity, you can look on Ameritrade. I tried to find some other investment companies, but I really didn't run into a lot that had the open cannabis forum like those two do. But I do know like you can use small amounts. You don't have to invest large $500 or $1,000 amounts unless you want to. You could take your whole entire taxes return and take $500 and make some investments in the cannabis industry. Let it sit until it really starts to profit and you really start seeing it, where some of those numbers aren't in the red, they're going into the green, and that's when you're going to see your profit. So if you have any questions, definitely, because I'm learning, and I think as I'm learning, it's important to share information with everybody, and it's just like that's what I'm here for. So
So give us the email address one more time so they can contact you.
okay, it's MS period Nicole Nicole, last name Bowden at live.com.
So look, there you have it. Investing in the cannabis market is a huge market coming, and it's something that could be beneficial to us all. I know I'm getting with her because she's gonna show me how to do it. So I'm on it. So Nicole, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, we'll see you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.
Mhm.